What is up, everybody? I was about to say a little bit of a buffering delay there, kind of freaked me
Right.
out a little bit. But it's your boy SAJ coming to you live. I think I'm going to be coming to you from I don't know. You know what I can say in a couple of weeks? I can say I'm coming to you from the Taco Cabana studio on Southwest Military because that, oddly enough, supposedly is about to close down. And
Interesting.
I don't get that. That's been like a staple. We used to go there all the time when we cruised military, right? That you went to South Park Mall, you went to that Taco Cabana. That it's just you go hand in hand. But yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm
but that
gonna
was back when Taco
go
Cabana was
future
actually
cast.
good, though. So.
Well, I mean that's true too. I'll give you that one. But that's where I'm coming from tonight.
All right. Well, you know what? Today I'm gonna, Jay. Last week you came from the Bennigan's Studios. I'm gonna come from the same building, but a different place. I'm gonna come at you from the Tilted Kilt Studios.
Oh God, I remember that place. I never actually went.
Really?
All the years that it had been here, and I wanted to go, just never could really find the occasion to go. And now we can't go.
Now you can't
So
go.
now I can't go. Uh, so I'm posting obviously while we're talking. Um, Crazy weekend. Uh, First of all, I got to give kudos to our brother over on the Horns Forward podcast show. DJ took the ultimate win and got the first You Pick'em trophy for our UFL Pick'em league, and it was actually it was close and it wasn't close, right? When we're talking about four teams, 40 games total.
Yeah.
He wound up coming in what 25 and
Twen-
15,
25 and 15. You and me were both 22 and 18. So
right? So
we tied for second place.
yeah, and go figure, right? You and we're like twins here, but
But I was a
the
homer. I picked the Brahmas every game. So like I told DJ, last night, imagine how much I would have kicked his ass if I would have actually picked with my head and not my heart.
exactly right. And I homered a little bit also, but there were a couple of games where because I was getting pissed off and whatever, I decided not to, and so then it got me wins.
Yeah.
So I can't say too much because if I would have homered, Jackie and I probably would have been fighting for last place. So anyway,
I
so
mean,
yeah,
she made
congratulations.
she made no bones about it. She homered all the way. So you know,
Yep. So congratulations to DJ on winning that. Um, I don't want to spend too much time breaking down the game. Obviously, we didn't win. We didn't really even show up. Settling for field goals kind of seems to have been a theme because that's as close as we could get to the red zone. We did get some points this year. I mean, we can't say that they didn't try.
a little bit. But I mean, I think I told DJ this a couple times, and I said it on the show last night. Watch any of our other games, and you watch this game, and we seem to move the ball pretty good. In between the 20s, get inside the opponent's territory, and then we'd kind of stall and then kick a field goal. And that's what happened this past game as well. Um, and then, freaking injuries again. Apparently, Wing got hurt. So we had the field goal kicker out punting the ball in the second half. So
Would it be fair to say that Wing hurt his wang? I'm just throwing that out there.
it'd be fair. It'd be fair. I think that's appropriate. Yes, you did.
Here-
You did,
Here's a
Marco. Y'all
here's a
won.
fellow Texan talking some football.
Yep.
So we're glad to
And
see you.
we got Marco on here. Obviously, happy late birthday to him. Happy late birthday to Tim. They had their birthdays on Sunday and Monday. Saturday night, man, we had a fantastic time with them at the rally. Just great time hanging out with Brahmas fans, Banditos. Bunch of players showed up, coaches showed up. Man, it was a great time. Once again, we didn't win, but I had an amazing weekend with football stuff. So
Yep. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about it because I didn't get to go because I decided to do something else instead. I'm glad I did. We had a great time. But I would have loved seeing all you guys also. But there's always next time, right? That's the great thing about this. We're gonna
Yep.
have another season. We're gonna have more time together. Uh, I love the fact that we've got the I-35 rivalry where we can go up there, they can come down here. I do hope they stage it again where our first game, we're up there first when the weather's a little bit nicer. Granted, we're going to need umbrellas and probably rain ponchos and things like that because the stadium leaks in sunny weather for some reason. I don't understand that. But I'd rather be up there in the first part of the season than up there in the second part of the season.
I'd rather be up there in the second part of the season because it might be a little bit colder. I mean, it'll be hotter here. At least if we play here first week of the season, it'll be cooler than in 2.5 months.
Bro, we play indoors. I don't want to be outdoors in June.
But we tailgate outside. At least
Oh,
at
that's
least
true.
in Cockjaw we're covered.
That's true. Well, you just drink
So,
more.
and
It's
like you
fine.
said, we got next year. They'll figure out the schedule, whatever. And we're not Houston, we're not Memphis, so we'll have next year to figure it out. So,
Yeah,
oh,
let's actually talk about that. Because I heard some people saying, in the speculation about what teams should be cut and stuff like that, they're talking about Houston, they're talking about Memphis, potentially talking about Birmingham. Somebody said that San Antonio was a good third choice if they need to cut three teams. Guys, are you paying attention to the same league that we're paying attention to? Granted, we had the worst season that we've ever had in our 3-year history, which isn't a long time. I get that, but we had the worst season that we've ever had in 3 seasons. We've had the worst season that any UFL team has ever had that I can that
we
I
t-
can
we
remember.
tied. Houston was 1-9 last year as well.
Okay,
So,
okay,
we
uh,
tied for the worst record ever.
right, and we still averaged 10,000 a game, 4 home games, two of
Yep.
which were Friday nights.
Yep.
Okay, so you want to talk about? Oh my God,
Oh,
Texans
this
talking
freaking guy.
forward. This freaking guy. First of all, what's up, Mike G? Good to see you, man. And then this freaking guy,
This
the
freaking
Texans
guy.
talking forward. No, we're horns talking football. Okay. Anyways, uh, San Antonio being the third best choice makes about as much sense as cutting the Dallas Cowboys from the NFL, right? Now, granted, it's a horrible comparison because we don't get the numbers and stuff like that, percentage wise, whatever. But we did fourth in attendance, okay, with a horrible
Were
season.
we fourth? I will go back
Yes,
and
we
look at the
were.
attendance numbers. I
We
would
were
match
fourth.
average or total.
Both.
Well, because
You
total
know
we
what?
only had 4 games, so of course it would be down. I'm curious about average because DC may have averaged over 10,000. Uh, Michigan may have gotten close with that last game surge of 16,000.
Mhm.
Birmingham, they didn't average 10,000. So
Give me a second.
I know we were over Birmingham, and I know we were over Arlington as well.
Here's the numbers. Okay. Houston, it was Memphis, and then Houston, and then Birmingham, and then Arlington, and
No, okay.
then
So St. Louis, DC, Michigan, and us. So okay,
there you go. St. Louis,
yeah.
DC, Michigan, San Antonio, right? And there's a pretty noticeable gap here between the two. Okay. Week 10's attendance, where everybody was talking about how bad it was and how empty the stadium looked and how whatever. So I heard a lot of that on the internet, right? 10-8 distributed. Now, granted, there probably were not 10,000 people there. It's probably closer to like 8,500. And a lot of people left at halftime because, you know,
Yeah, but that's
they're
been the
just,
same. That's been the season every year. Or I'm sorry, that's been every game all year. So
yeah.
whatever. They're gonna
Yep.
they're gonna announce distributed, so we'll just roll with that. We all know that's not how many people are actually in the seats. So
Yep. But still, I think overall, all things considered, we still did great. Fourth in attendance. And I know we talked about it last night, but there's definitely going to be changes coming this next year. Party will have more time when he comes back. If he comes back as the head coach, he will have more time in the driver's seat, if you will, and be ready to face the challenge. And we're going to be fine.
yeah, and I
gonna,
want to highlight something real quick. Andrew, yeah, maybe this year, but at least we're gonna have a team next year. So suck it.
wow. I don't know what that was about, but we'll keep rolling with it. Anyways, I got a little
Tim,
distracted there.
absolutely, yes, we do. Those who weren't at the game or whatever, the lovely and talented 210 Brahmasita was able to sing the national anthem for us. Did a fantastic job. If you didn't get to see it, go over to the Horns Forward podcast page. We live streamed it, so did a great job.
Oh yeah, man, she absolutely crushed it. And I could not be more proud of our sister for the job that she did. It was just phenomenal. That being said, okay, we season obviously did not turn out the way that we thought it would. I want to say thank you. I said it last night, different audience, same message. I want to say thank you for the faithful that stuck around through thick and thin, who stayed from kickoff to final whistle, who had to endure this horrible, horrible season. And I say that the season was horrible, and I'm very careful not to say like specific players or point people out or whatever, because we know for a fact. I mean, we've talked to these people, we've seen the emotions, we've seen
Yep.
the pride that they've had to swallow, knowing that they could have played better, but for whatever reason, things just did not work out their way. And I know how personal they took it. So I am not for a second going to bash a single player or this team. Things happen. Okay. Sometimes you catch bad breaks. Sometimes every game is a bad break. This is why it's called professional sports,
Yep.
right? And sometimes you have a couple of bad things that happen and it just compounds the issue. Now, I will say, right, if we're going to be honest here, we were talking about it last night. I didn't really say much about my take on what needs to change next year. First and foremost, I do agree with you, Jackie, and DJ, rather, coaching. Party or whoever is going to actually be at the helm needs to take control of this team. Okay. And what I mean by that is there has to be some discipline. We have entirely too many penalties that are going against us for ridiculous stuff, false starts, holding, uh, neutral zone infractions, things like that. Okay. Team needs to get it together. That comes back to the players and that comes back to the coaching.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think Party had stacked against him because he was trying to do so many things because he was so short staffed. I think next year it's going to be different. We need, Jorge said it last night that he thinks that we need an offensive line, which I agree with him on. He said he was very surprised because the core of that offensive line is still there. That's one thing I will disagree with him on. I don't think the core of our offensive line was there, right? First and foremost, we lost our thick six. We have Tecklenburg, who is a great center, don't get me wrong.
Tecklenburg, but Tecklenburg, he was from last year as well. He filled in the games where Thick Six got hurt and was injured.
Mm-hmm.
So he did a good job. So
right, he was a backup. He wasn't the starter in that offensive scheme. Right, there's things that he can do that Thick Six couldn't do. There's things that Thick Six could do that Tech couldn't do. Right. What up, MI Panther Pride? Let's go.
What's up, boys?
Yes. Mental mistakes all day long, right?
Yeah, and
Again,
we saw that all season long. It was just, you know, uh, false starts, just jumping on defense, just stupid holding penalties. Um, I mean, not even penalty wise. I think I mentioned it last night. How many times did we see our the quarterback run into the offensive line, or the offensive line get out of position and run into the quarterback? It happened way too much. We had our very own butt fumble a few weeks ago, and it was just the line just seemed they didn't know where they were supposed to go, a lot of the
yep,
time. And so, I mean, I obviously we lost a great coach with Coach Dre when he went to Colorado right before the season. Um, and I think that was a huge hole to fill. And I think that's one thing. Just the coaching, like you said, just needs to get shored up. If Wade's healthy enough to come back, obviously I'd love to have him have Party as an OC, and then let Party fill his offensive coaching staff, with Wade, and then the defensive staff as well. That would be fantastic. If Wade's not healthy enough to come back, Party's head coach, but Party has an entire offseason to fill his staff to build his culture for the team. So, and I think
yep,
that's important because that's anybody who's been around football at all knows the culture of the locker room is probably the most important thing with the team. And Party didn't have a chance to build that because he got thrown into a lot of stuff all of a sudden. So, whatever's
yep,
going to happen at coach, just solidify the coach, solidify the coaching staff.
yep. And they always say trial by fire, right? Obviously, Party definitely got burnt because of everything that kind of was stacked against him. But he's going to come back stronger next year, I promise you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Um, DJ said it himself. He was in coaching clinics with Coach Party, and the man knows football. So I'm telling you, he's going to come back. He's going to have something to prove. Youngest coach, I believe, in the entire professional football.
Professional football history. So,
Yep.
you know,
So next year, man,
it's
next
like
year, it's going to be
yeah,
something to
it's like
watch.
Alfred said in Batman Begins. Why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up.
Yep. So now, all that to say, I don't want to take anything away from Arlington. Arlington came in, they played their game, they played an incredible game. They were talking on
Yeah,
the
they were
sidelines.
okay.
Well, I mean, they were talking on the sidelines about how easy it was to figure out what we were going to do, and they showed it on the field,
Yeah.
right? About the only thing I can successfully say, if I remember correctly, I don't believe there were any picks this last game. Um,
No
but I don't
picks.
think that,
I think our only turnover was that kickoff fumble by John Trey.
yeah. Uh, which I mean is a pretty decent takeaway, all things considered.
Yeah.
Especially with and we got to go back to this, right? The butt fumble, first in the UFL, us, right? We get to hold that crown.
Yep.
So not great, but overall, it is what it is. The uh the stats, not looking so
I
great.
didn't even look at the stats. I don't even care about the stats. I mean,
Bro, just that second quarter alone, 20 unanswered points.
yeah.
Ridiculous. Okay. And a lot of that is because our defense was getting wrecked out there. And Marco, you're right. After the second half, we did get a little bit quiet,
Yep.
right?
We were.
It's hard to yell when you see the mistakes being made and you can't do anything to fix it.
Well,
But
it's hard to cheer if you got nothing to cheer for. So
yep. But we did hang in there till the end.
that's right.
We just maybe weren't as loud as we normally were. But
Yeah,
next
yeah,
year
and
we'll
we did,
see.
we did, and just like the team, we stayed till the end. We fought, and we applauded our team when when the game was over, the season was over. I mean, it was a hard fought season. It was stuff against us every turn. Just damn near everything that went wrong could go wrong, And our
Yep.
team still tried to fight through it and had heart through it. So that's why
Yep.
at the end of the game we applauded them.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's also, talking about the, how hard players fought and everything. There's a reason why Corbin is the league leading running back
Yep.
because he fought through, right? Averaging, what did I say? He's averaging 51.4 yards per carry per game.
And he
I'm
missed a
sorry.
couple games too, I believe.
Yeah.
So
51.4 yards. He didn't actually. He may have come out of some games, but he's credited as playing all 10 games.
really? Okay. I thought he had
Mhm.
missed a couple games. I know
Yeah.
Lovett, I
No.
know McFarland did, but
Yeah. But no, Corbin absolutely crushed it this season. So
yeah,
definitely congrats to him.
league leading rusher. So
Yep. Around the rest of the league, pretty much what we figured was going to happen happened, right? St. Louis played Houston. Houston tried like hell. Beck played starters the first quarter, a little bit into the second quarter, and then started pulling people. So Houston had to face the second string, and then even at some parts, third string. Uh,
did he? I thought
and
Silvers played the whole game.
no, I don't think so. Well, Silvers isn't even the starter. Let me look real quick.
No, Manny Wilkins played the whole game. So
Yeah, Wilkins did play the whole game, which is surprising
oh shoot,
because
no. I'm on the wrong damn week. I'm sorry. Hold on. I was
oh
on
yeah,
week
I'm on the
one.
wrong too. Yeah, I was like, what the hell? None of that looks right. They played DC.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
we're on the
neither
same page, folks.
Silvers played and then DC's backup played the whole game. So
Yeah, there you
none of
go.
the starters played. It was just basic bare bones, nothing fancy, and
Yeah,
just kind of a boring game. Just like I said it was going to be just like it was when we played St. Louis the final game last season. Nobody was showing
right,
anything because this coming week is what's important.
right. It was Houston and Michigan. Houston got their final win of the season to break five to
Yep.
make 500. So McClendon played the entire game. Etling played a little bit, and then Lombardi played a little bit. In fact, it looks like Lombardi played a little bit more. But yeah, these are all backups. And Etling, I mean, at one point, Etling was kind of the starter, but due to injuries and whatever, he's probably trying to work his
He
way back up.
started the
But
season. I think he started up to our game, the third game of the season, and that's when Perkins came in, kind of started taking off, and then Perkins started. Um, and I know there was that whole thing of that he was still trying to do both quarterbacks, which kind of Michigan ended up losing the game, and so he made Perkins the full time starter. Then I think Perkins kind of got hurt, and I don't think Perkins played at all in the last 3 weeks. So
yeah. So I will say that Stallions Memphis game, that one really kind of surprised me
yeah,
because Jamar, who was a late addition, I mean, they even talked about it a couple of weeks ago that because he didn't make a roster, he was working at like some grocery store or something. And Birmingham brought him back, fan favorite, by the way. But Birmingham brought him back as backup because they were going through so many quarterbacks.
and he
And
knew the system because he was there like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or something. So
yeah, and he still crushed.
yeah,
So, and then they pulled him out and they put in like their fifth string guy,
that was that
which
Andrew
I didn't even,
Peasley. That was that kid that was playing with our game, the one that had the fumble and all that stuff, and it was kind of
yeah.
his first game as well. So,
Mhm. So
but you
overall,
saw. So I know we were talking last night of who Birmingham's playing this week. I'm assuming it's going to be Jamar because I know Magoo was added from the injured list. Well, he just got added back to the injured list today. So
yeah, yeah,
I'm
Magoo's not going to start. If anybody's going to start, it's going to be Jamar because, like we
yeah.
talked about last night, Jamar has the hot hand. He gives them the best chance to win. Now, is it going to be enough? Mike, there you go. He's the general manager of a donut shop. and now he's dropping dimes. But um, is Jamar and the recent success that he's seen going to be enough to overcome the just tear that Michigan is on? What do you think?
The only I I think Michigan overall is a better team. The only thing that would give Birmingham the advantage this week is that Pearson hasn't played, you know, in
Yeah,
3 weeks, so he's going to be a little rusty. Uh, do they start? Do they start Etling for a little bit or what? But you know,
that's a
um,
tough call.
it is. But he's the best play. He's the best quarterback. He should have been MVP if he hadn't been out. So
Yep.
you know,
I see you put the ball in his hands and let him see what happens. You at least know you've got a good backup plan,
you
if
yeah
nothing
you
else.
Edling is a solid backup. So I
Yep.
think put him in, and then if he just doesn't have it or is off, you got Edling to fall back on. I think, but I still think Michigan has an advantage at quarterback, and I think as a whole they're just a better team. So I do think they're going to win.
I definitely. And my Panther Pride, if you guys are still on, you said you want to see us in St. Louis on 14. Take care of business this weekend. Get to St. Louis. We'll see you there. Especially if St. Louis gets taken out by DC, you'll see us there. At least one of us. I promise you. Um, well, I shouldn't promise that, but that's what the expect or that's what the hope is, anyways. If DC wins, then it's much more fuel for me to go there because I want to see just how many St. Louis fans actually do show up.
Yeah. And I
So
said Pearson for the quarterback. I meant Perkins. Sorry, I was getting players mixed up.
close enough. We don't do research here. Come on, man.
Come on,
Um,
man.
yeah, we all know that I'm obviously no love lost for St. Louis in this game, but I will tell you, we talked about it last night. I think this is going to be an epic, epic game. Okay. This is going to be one that arguably could go down in the history books as as potentially the best game of the UFL, at least of the 25 season. This is going to be an absolute dogfight. These teams have all already faced each other. Each team is 0-1 at home against the opponent. They're playing in St. Louis, where St. Louis has already lost to DC once, right? Uh, St. Louis has one hell of a crowd. Not going to lie, it's going to be at least 30. I would say 32 to 35,000 strong. Although it is on a Sunday afternoon, that could play a factor in it. But they should have at least 30,000 there. But is that home field advantage going to be enough to take out Timu Tamu and the DC Defenders? What do you think?
I think DC is built to withstand the crowd noise. With Abram Smith in the run game, they're kind of and their defense is pretty good. Um, they can minimize the crowd a lot. So that's what you need. Strong running game, strong defense, kind of take the crowd out of it. They have the ability to. I think it's going to be a close game. I see DC winning it, but it's going to be probably within one score for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's going to be tight. It's probably going to be like what you're saying, one score. Um, potentially even to the point where it's
I'm gonna say it's going to be within
like
a
down to
5 point
three-point.
game. Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I can see that. Um, Sorry, we're having problems with our Instagram stream, so forgive me. I'm trying to get that straightened out here real quick. Uh, but yes, I do see that as kind of being the difference maker there. Um, if everything catches up here, you have to forgive me. Um, I do think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a hard fought game. I think both teams obviously are going to put everything on the line, and we're going to wind up with Uh, I, I I adore this woman. I adore this woman. I'm not going to share that comment. Anyways, I think it's going to be one hell of a game, and but I do see DC pulling it off. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Uh, I think at this point, we kind of know what to expect. We know kind of, who we're rooting for, uh, but no real dog in this fight. We just want to see good football at this point. That being the case, um, I think we should probably talk about the uh, the upcoming UFL awards now that the
Yeah.
season is pretty much kind of settled down, and we're pretty much on the back end. We probably ought to talk about who we think is getting what this year. And I think this first category, kind of you couldn't get a better category for this individual, but or the one that we're rooting for anyways, who we think is kind of leading the back. But Brian, why don't you talk to us about the Sportsman of the Year award?
This one's gonna be my only homer pick of these. Well, maybe not my only one, but I Stylianos is up for. He's the Brahmas selection for the Sportsman of the Year, and I think getting to know him. I know he was kind of a late addition to the team. He came in. I think the Michigan game was his first game with the team. Um, but once he kind of got on with the team and just see him, on the sidelines, getting able to talk to him a little bit, kind of after the games, when we're hanging out with the rest of the crowd and stuff, and just a great guy that he is. So, I don't know any about any of the other people that were for the other teams, but he is my vote for Sportsman of the Year. So,
Yep. I can't disagree with you. We've met the young man personally. He's just always positive attitude, always very strong work ethic, ready to come in, put in the blood, sweat, and tears, make everything happen. And he's got, on and off the field. He's always willing to put in the work. So he's got my vote for Sportsman of the Year.
and
Um,
and to top that off too, I've got his glove right here. So, if that's not worth a vote, I don't know what is.
there we go. There we go. Who are you thinking for MVP this season?
You know, You asked me week 7, week 8. I would have told you Perkins was a lock, and I think I did say Perkins was a lock. But
Mhm.
week 7 was the last week that he played, and so I think that and him, not being the starter the first couple games with Edling being the starter and stuff, really playing a lot more. I gotta go Tamu for league MVP. Just you know he had consistency throughout the year. Obviously, he didn't play the last game because wide risk injury, especially as nasty as that field was with the storm that was in there. You don't want any of those guys getting hurt. So Tam is my choice for MVP.
Can see that. I think it's kind of a toss up between Tamu and Perez. I I think Tamu slightly edges out Perez overall just because of the overall numbers. And what I mean by that is that uh, Perez had a heck of a lot more attempts and completions. His completion percentage was higher. His total yards was over 100. It looks like 150 yards difference. Uh, but he had 9 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, whereas Tamu had 17 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. So his accuracy was a lot better. He only played 9 games and he still put up, incredible numbers. So I think Tamu slightly edges out Perez, but you still got to kind of include McClendon and Perkins in the conversation if you're going to talk about it, right? But again, I do agree with you. I think Tamu slightly edges out the competition. I think it's just enough to make a difference. Um, So let's kick it over to offensive player of the year. Who do you think is kind of crushing it on the offense?
So, offensive player of the year, I'm this is where I would probably pick Perkins just because even though he only played, a lot less games, I think his offensive production and just as unstoppable as he was, I think I could see him getting the offensive player of the year nod for this one.
I can see that, but um, I still, and I'm trying to look up the stats right now. Um, Something's making me lean towards Corbin on this one, just because of the total production. And I know it's a little bit of a stretch to see a running back get offensive player of the year, um, but it's not unheard of.
It's
And
not.
I think with everything that he had to deal with the problems that we have with the offensive line, for him to be able to produce what he did in 10 games was nothing short of a miracle. You know, um, he had less rushing attempts, more rushing yardage than everybody. The only thing he did not lead in was touchdowns, but everything else he crushed in. So
See, if you're
it's
going
hard
to
to say
go
he's
kind
not
of
at least in the
a
discussion.
position player like that, you've got Roland with DC who had he had 1,100 all-purpose yards. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to skill position, as much as I love Corbin, as much as he was one of the few bright spots for our team this season.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I don't know. I couldn't see him as offensive player of the year.
Well, and that's why I was trying to look at his total yardage, but I just couldn't get there quick enough. But I still think, I mean, he's at least in the discussion, right? Um, but it would be interesting to see kind of where that whole thing lands at. Now, let me ask you this. This one's probably a little bit easier for the pick, but who do you have for defensive player of the year? And
Man,
defensive only has one F in it, by the way.
uh I don't know how to pronounce the dude's last name, but the PETA from St. Louis, you know, guy had 7.5 sacks this season from the linebacker position. I think that's a pretty solid number right there. So that's who my pick is.
Yeah. See, and this is where it's going to be a little bit hard to kind of kind of balance that, right? PETA, obviously, he had what, three forced fumbles, two fumble recoveries, and I mean he obviously had the 7.5 sacks, which is huge. Uh, Beckett could easily be thrown in the conversation there, right? Because he had 89 total tackles, 47 solo, and 42 assists, five tackles for loss. Um, could easily be considered in part of the conversation. Um, I'm sorry, now I'm trying to keep up on comments and stuff on Facebook because it looks like we lost our Facebook feed, and I'm not sure what the heck's going on there. Um, but so we know you guys are out there, but for whatever reason, we're just not getting any kind of we're not getting any feedback from Facebook, and that's okay.
Huh.
Anyways, I do see what you're saying though, as far as PETA kind of taking it. Chris Odom, honorable mention, right? Uh, at 12 12 solo tackles and 12 tackles for loss. So that's kind of important too. Um, what do you know what, I'm going to say this last one, or I'm going to say this next one for last because I really want to get your take on it. But special teams player of the year, who are you thinking?
Man, I as much as I'd like to be a homer and vote for Wing, I think probably Blankenship probably is going to have it as solid as he was kicking field goals. distance, percentage wise. I think he only missed one all season. So I definitely, I think Blankenship probably gets it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I think just as far as there we go. Facebook is back. What's up, sis? Good to see you. I think Blankenship probably carries that one, just because just his consistency, his accuracy, everything he was able to do on offense, it pretty much carries him through. But honorable mention at least for Brad Wayne,
Yeah.
Because again, a lot of the reasons why we were able to hold people, under 50 points is because Brad Wing can kick the absolute bejesus out of a ball.
Yep.
So, and at least gave our defense a chance to, trip in front of people and slow them down. Now, here's the one I want to ask you about. This is the one I'm really interested in. Who do you think is coach of the year?
I don't think there's any question. I think it's got to be Shannon Harris. Um, you know,
Okay.
to get thrown the team, obviously Reggie Barlow until the week before the season started was the head coach of this team. And he dropped off to go coach in college. Shannon Harris took over last second. Week 2 is when Greg Williams left to to join Reggie Barlow's staff. So he lost his defensive coordinator 2 games into the season, and it's just DC hasn't missed a beat. I think just all the pressure on him that just being named coach the week of the season, DC coming in, making the playoffs, probably would have been the number 1 seed if it had actually mattered. And St. Louis wasn't going to get a home game anyways. So I think head and shoulders Shannon Harris coach of the year.
Yeah. Now, the argument could also be made about Beck because, Beck produced results, but I think he had an easier road to get to the playoffs and to be able to do the things that he did because he pretty much had most of the team come back. About the only thing he really switched out was quarterback and a couple of position players, and that was about it.
Yeah.
So,
and the quarterback had been on the team previously, so it wasn't a new quarterback anyways. I mean, Max Dugan came on, but Manny was the starting quarterback before he got hurt. So,
again, honorable mention for sure, but definitely not coach of the year, I don't think. And that's not a shot at St. Louis. You St. Louis fans, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, right? The DC coach had much more obstacles to overcome, even though it really is kind of a player-driven team. He stepped up and did quite well. And then we'll find out this weekend just how much better he's going to do. Now, we're gonna switch gears a little bit. We're gonna kick over to the IFA because I think it's important to know that BD was right. BD called it last week when he started asking questions. I went to the IFA's website and saw that San Antonio's team was no longer on the website. Started asking questions. And then what happened the next day, BD?
The next day, they announced that the Caballeros were folding as a team. So
yeah,
I think they watched our show and they were like, "Oh crap, they're onto us. We better make an announcement."
Oh, you mean you didn't do that? I asked you to post that 3 weeks ago.
You jackass! They already put it on the webpage.
Yep. So yeah. Unfortunately, the Caballeros are no longer in existence, so we will not be following the IFA anymore at this point. No offense to the IFA, but if there's not a Texas team in it, we're not really necessarily that worried. However,
I was going to say, I mean, we do have a rooting interest in the league.
We have a rooting interest in one player. That's Mr. James Harden.
Yep.
Not NBA James Harden.
Not James Harden, but
right. But the young man that we met last season in Arlington, who was trying to get picked up by the UFL, and had to work his way up through arena ball to show what he could do. He got picked up by the Chihuahua team, had his first game this weekend, and had a great weekend. He was able to show off his football skills, show off what he was capable of doing. I believe he caught a touchdown pass. I didn't get a chance to find any of his stats or anything like that, but I did see some of his highlights, and it looks like he had an incredible weekend. So we will continue to monitor from afar and monitor his career. Hopefully, he does well down there, shows up, shows out, shows the league what he can do. Maybe even come into the UFL next season. I don't know if that's going to happen. He may be down in the IFA for a little while. We'll see. But at least he's getting a chance, and that's what we want to see for all these players, is just to get their chance, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole reason why we have spring football in the first place, is to give the guys who didn't get the lucky break the first time a second chance at redemption. So very excited for him, very excited for that. There you go. Right. So that game for sure happened. Hopefully James has many more games and gets more opportunities to show off what he can do to, tens of thousands of fans, and moves on to hopefully bigger and better things. Now, speaking of bigger and better things, bigger and better things are not really happening down in Corpus. We talked about it last week, but surprisingly, Corpus actually looks like they had a pretty decent game. They played the Nashville Cats, and they wound up losing 44-39. But looking at the stats, Corpus actually didn't do too horrible. The quarterback went 11-28, 3 touchdown passes. His quarterback rating wasn't the greatest. It was 84, because he did get a pick. But he did throw for 190 yards and actually put points on the board, and to the tune of almost 40, which is something that hasn't happened since the whole fiasco. So not great, but maybe this is kind of the turning point. Maybe Corpus has been able to, kind of revive the team, get some, players back in position where they need to be, and maybe can kind of turn the season around a little bit. Corpus will be playing, and that again was just this last. It was on Sunday, if I remember correctly. They will be playing again this Sunday, June 8th. They're going to be playing whoever the Lightning is. God, I wish I knew more about these teams. Oregon Lightning. They will be playing in Oregon, so we'll keep you updated as we get updates on that. And of course, we talk about Beaumont in the National Arena League a lot in our show here. Beaumont again did not fail to show up and show out, man. They played the Shreveport Rougarou. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't even know. I don't speak Cajun. But absolutely decimated they look like werewolves. We'll just call them the Cajun werewolves. Absolutely decimated them, 63-12. Right?
Man, that's a good old whooping right there, especially in arena.
Yeah, even to the point, and now this is probably a trick play, but I'm not surprised it didn't work out. But on the same token, I wouldn't be surprised if it did work out. They did have their running back try and throw a pass. It didn't work so well. He still gets a 40 QBR, which is amazing, right? Just for showing up, right? That's like getting a 40 on a test just for putting your name on it.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Robinson crushed it again. He went 4. Now here's where the stats are weird. I don't think these stats are right. They said he went 4 of 7, 3 touchdown passes, and it was a no total yards. His quarterback rating was 102, and he got sacked once. Are we the ones that are keeping the books, man? These are crazy numbers.
I mean, we've been dealing with this the NAO website like that for how many years now? It's just they're going to put in whatever the hell they want to put in. So
Yeah. Yeah, it was just crazy. You want to know something else crazy though? It looks like San Antonio won a game. The San Antonio Gunslingers.
that's
They
right.
actually
They
won a
sure
game.
did. They beat Tucson, who's not having a good season either. So hey, at least you can beat the people that are down in the mud with you. But yeah,
Yep. Unlike us, we couldn't even do that.
I wasn't gonna say that,
So,
but you did.
oh, I said it. I said it. Looking at the because remember San Antonio even lost their quarterback, their starting
Yeah,
quarterback. They
they
lost
they
him
released
recently.
the quarterback asked to be released last week. Just obviously the
Mhm.
season San Antonio's having probably not going to go anywhere. So he made a Facebook post. He wanted the chance to kind of go, win with another team. So San Antonio released him, gave him that opportunity.
Yep. But the new guy, Joaquin Colazo, he went 12 to 17, 153 yards,
So
three
what was that? What was
touchdowns,
that
no
first
interceptions.
name?
Joaquin,
Joaquin.
what? Oh, Joaquin. Sorry. Well, it shows you that I don't speak Spanish other than like what they have at Taco Cabana.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. I don't know if they have names on your Duolingo. So
no, no, they've got like Anna, just normal names. It's
yeah.
horrible. Anyways, um, here's a name that you'll probably recognize, Khalid Rashad. He's been playing with the Gunslingers for a while. If I
Yep.
remember, he was also in the UFL for a little bit. Uh, 10 rushing attempts for 52 yards. Not bad, right? 5.2 yards per carry. Cannot complain about that at all. Tucson's quarterback, 9 to 16, not so bueno. Two tutties, but he threw a pick. Uh, so it just, these these yardage totals always surprise me, right? And I don't know why. I know it's a smaller field and everything like that, but when your quarterback throws for 153 yards, you're like, man, that's horrible. But the field is
Well,
half the
and
size,
and I think
you
we've
know?
talked about this. The IFL is a lot more. The run game is a lot more important in the IFL, and that's not
Mhm.
something you've typically seen in arena leagues. You know,
Right.
Gunslingers had 122 rushing yards this game. I mean, how many times did we see watch NAL games or arena league back in the day where you got 10 rushing yards for the entire game. That was the norm. It's a more
Yeah.
pass heavy league. So the fact that the running game, and we've kind of seen this through all the teams, is making a big presence in these games is kind of weird to see when you're looking at these box scores.
Yeah. It definitely the game, at least in the IFL, is definitely changing to become a more uh, a stronger defense on the field, right? You're getting a lot more good one-on-one matchups, a lot of you know uh, double teaming, things like that, which is forcing people to have to run more. And I mean, you're seeing it like Tucson's rushing yardage was 62. They had one play that was a loss of 5 yards, so should be what 67. But that's more what you're used to seeing on the heavier end. San Antonio put up 122. So it shows you that they're looking for those opportunities when your guys are double covered down the field. Hand it to the running back, man. Let him get 5 or 6, every time. So that game is evolving. I would be interested to see if that starts
Yep.
filtering down into some of the other arena leagues. And real quick, while we're talking about arena, I want to make sure that give a shout out to our guys who feed us all the information that they do. Bobby Otten, our friends over at Pro Arena Talk, Sammy Sharp, and the whole company over there. Guys, we appreciate this being your passion and you providing us with the stats and the facts and the figures. Because BD and I are kind of cheap. We're not paying for the subscription. So we have to rely on guys like you to, for it to be your passion, for you to be willing to pay for it to then update us on all this stuff.
I,
So
I'm
guys,
not
again,
cheap.
thank
I'm just not buying the subscription on principle. All right, make that clear.
no. Okay. My principle is being cheap. So there you go. I guess I'm standing on something.
There you go.
Anyways, but yeah, so San Antonio actually pulled off a win, and that should bring them to what, 3 wins on the season? Yeah, they're 3-6 right now.
3-6. Yeah.
So yes, they will be going into this next weekend, Saturday, June 7th, which we may possibly talk about going to this game, BD. You know why? Because the
Because we don't
Gunslingers are
have
playing your
UFL to
favorite.
go to.
Well, that too, but San Antonio is playing your favorite arena team.
Oh God, are you serious?
Yep, they're playing the Quad City Steamwheelers, baby. So
I'm gonna wear a shirt
you
that
can
says "Your
go.
name sucks."
Yep, that's not a boat horn. That's a train horn. uh, oh, that's interesting. So the IFL network got you to not watch anymore. I would love to know more about that. Was it
I'm
just
I'm just taking a guess that he didn't want to pay for the subscription either, so he's not watching it. Just kind of like what I would. I'd watch it on YouTube every week, but I'm not paying the subscription, so I'm not watching the games.
well? And I mean, I can't say that I blame you. You know, you're paying for a product that used to be free, and the coverage. I mean, it was worth the price that you were paying for it. So they put a price tag on it, but didn't really change much else. You know, it's kind of hard to pay for something like remember back in the day, you used to be able to get free air at the gas station, right? For your tires and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then now they're making you pay $1
Now it's a
for
dollar
air
on it, man. Dollar
that
for air.
that
Come
you used
on.
to right that you
That
used to
that
get for
that
free.
crap's all around us. You're gonna make me pay $1 for it.
Yeah, that just
I,
seems
I
kind of
say I say
ridiculous.
as I'm drinking bottled water. So
Well, that's because you're a snob, though. So, anyways, so yeah, San Antonio will be playing the Quad
hold on,
City Steamers. Yeah.
peaky up with the
Beaumont.
fancy water.
Yeah. Beaumont, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we should be going into the playoffs in the NAL, no?
If not
Um,
this week, it's within the next week or two.
April, May. I'm trying to look at what's left. Yeah, it doesn't. Oh, right here. What am I doing? Uh, I think that, I mean, that's it for the regular season. Uh, oh, here you go. CFL has all the games for free on their own platform. So that makes more sense, right? Um, yeah, we should be going into the playoffs this next weekend. I don't have maybe if I clicked on the playoffs,
They don't have they
they're
don't have
created
anything
yet, I'm
they don't have
sure.
anything posted for it yet. So
Right. So probably in the next 2 weeks, we'll have the playoffs for the NAL. Maybe they'll post something in the next day or so. But Beaumont should definitely be in the playoffs. I mean, they absolutely tore the league apart. Um, we talked about IFL, AF1. I think that's pretty much it. I think the only thing left to talk about would be the NFL,
I mean, yeah,
right?
we've got the Hall of Fame game preseason kicks off July 31st. That's less than 2 months away. So we've got
Yep.
OTAs going on right now. I know at least for Cowboys, Micah Parsons, they're talking about contract for him. He had missed the first part of the OTAs, and I think he showed up within the last day or two, just kind of towards the end of it. They're working on that. Hopefully, something will happen. I did see an interesting rumor within the last couple days that a certain former receiver for the Cowboys might be willing to come back. One Amari Cooper. Um, I tell you what, man, if obviously we got CeeDee Lamb, we got Pickens from Pittsburgh. If we can bring out Amari and those be like our top three receivers, even with Dak throwing to him, that's a pretty good wide receiver core. So
UFL Isaac. That's awesome. We love it when teams pray before the game. San Antonio Gunslingers are really good about that also. Um, and I do hope for an incredible game between Columbus and Beaumont because they're the two top teams in the NAL right now. So that should be a good matchup right there. Um, over in Green Bay, uh, things are slowly progressing, right? We've got our new potential golden boy in Mr. Golden from Texas. Yeah. And it seems like there's kind of a natural connection between him and Jordan Love. I don't know what that's actually going to translate out to in real game situations. We still have to wait and see. But there's some really good chemistry going on there. In addition to, it looks like Romeo Dobbs is finally back from his concussion in his season last year, and it took him a long time to recover from that. So hopefully he comes back strong. And Savion Williams being added to our receiving core looks like it hopefully might make a difference as well. So Jordan Love may actually have some targets this season, not just the tight ends and the running back on the dump offs. Um, it also looks like Jenkins is coming back pretty strong. And then here's the one that I saw that really kind of got me excited. Kenny Clark should be back. Kenny
There you
Clark
go.
is obviously huge to our line. Um, and with him having the foot injury, he really was not able to do anything on defense, and that really kind of messed him up. But hopefully he's back just as strong, and then it should hopefully provide a spark for our defense. So that way at least we're not going to be Chicago and be the laughing stock of the NFC North. Sorry, I said it. I don't care. Anyways, that being the case, right? There's obviously still football going on. UFL is going in the playoffs. A lot of the arena leagues are kind of winding down. IFL still has several weeks to go.
I felt still like
Uh,
they're just halfway through their season. So
Yeah. But the others, NAL, AF1, they're kind of wrapping it up. And that's a good question. Christian Watson, I've not heard a whole bunch from him as far as, from what information I can get on the OTAs and everything. I am hopeful that he comes back because he showed a lot of promise and potential. But he was also a little bit injury prone. Um, So it makes me kind of wonder. Hopefully, during the off season, he took some time to get his body right, get some conditioning going on, maybe get a little bit stronger in the areas that he's having problems with. And really, it's just kind of a wait and see situation. Uh, but there's hope, I guess, is what I'm saying. You know, um, I would love to say uh, that I have a lot of. I mean, I have faith on my team, right? I'm a diehard, dedicated. When it comes to Green Bay, I am the homer transplant, if you will. But the reality of last season still leaves me with doubts. Okay, Love had that incredible season 2 years ago. Thought for sure he'd be able to carry on with that, and then we had last year, which was up and down, kind of a train wreck. Our second string quarterback was more consistent. I'm still curious about that guy, right? I wonder where he's going to wind up landing because I don't think, with as well as he did last year, I don't think they're going to be able to con him into being a second string quarterback for too terribly long. So we'll have to see what happens there. But yes, Christian Watson hopefully will come back and be stronger than ever. But if not, we've got some other options, thankfully. And then BD Cowboys, this is your year, right?
it's always our year.
Okay. But the
Dak still
reality
sucks.
is, there you go. So yeah, as we find out, more news and stuff like that, as the OTAs start kind of, coming to a close in the next month or so, well, month and a half really. we'll kind of have a little bit better idea of who's going where, what's going on, how players are actually doing in their positions. And we'll keep you guys updated as we hear things. Right now, obviously, our focus is still kind of on UFL because that's what's going on and some of the arena leagues. But as those start kind of winding down and wrapping up, we should start seeing more activity from NFL and even college, right?
Yep.
Real quick, we don't normally talk baseball here, but I definitely want to give a shout out to the UTSA men's baseball team
Absolutely. Yeah.
who is in the conference play or in the their weird playoff structure thing that they have or whatever. First time in school history, and they're on an absolute tear.
More
So,
importantly,
you know,
they beat the
birds up.
Longhorns to advance. So
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, birds
yeah,
up, baby. So,
birds up, hook this.
oh, Um, and there's a certain someone in St. Louis that will be getting a UTSA hat to represent our UTSA Roadrunners as they hopefully go deep into the playoffs. Okay, guys, you know your assignment, right? You've got football to watch this weekend. UFL playoffs are on Sunday. You've got plenty of arena ball to watch on Saturdays. Hopefully, you have an IFA game to watch and see James Harden absolutely crush it over there in the whatever Chihuahua team he's on. Um, but again, as things kind of develop, we'll keep you guys posted. But in the meantime, Brian, I think it's about time, right?
So it is, but there's one thing before we go. I want to say I actually meant to say this last week, but towards the end of the show, I started doing my deep dive into the Cavaleros and all that stuff, figuring out what was going on with them. So I totally forgot. I wanted to give a shout out here, and it's a very special shout out to me, and it's to my son, my youngest son, Jaden. He last week he graduated from high school, 16 years old. He decided in
Awesome.
January, he was like, you know what? I'm kind of tired of going to school. I just want to be done with it. And so he joined the accelerated learning program for his district and finished 2.5 years of school in 4 months. Walked the stage, graduate with the class of 2025. So I was shout out to my son. I love you, Jaden. I'm really proud of you. And I think, just a fantastic thing that you did. So I just wanted to make sure I said that.
That's awesome. Good job, Jaden. And especially considering who his dad is, that's an incredible feat. So, that being the case, guys, make sure you watch some football this weekend. Go out and have some fun. And you ready?
Watch the UFL playoffs and suck it, Arlington
And
and
suck at
St.
St.
Louis.
Louis.